Hello and welcome. My name is Donna Vikas and I will be your host today at Channel 4. I am here with Don Chapman. You are from PLOWS in Palos Heights. Okay, all right. And we could just talk a little bit about what PLOWS actually is.
Well, PLOWS is a social service agency providing services to people 60 years of age and older.
Okay.
And recently picked up the disabled also as part of our clientele.
Okay.
We've been in operation 40 years, and we've developed a number of programs in those 40 years. We started out in Oak Lawn,
Okay.
and had 2 different locations there, and moved to 7808 College Drive about 15 years ago.
Okay, okay.
So we've been in Palos Heights,
More recently?
yeah,
Okay.
that long.
Okay.
What we do is, as I say, we provide social service to people 60 and over, which includes a case management function. We have a dozen or so caseworkers who deal with people with individual problems, issues, need help in some area.
Okay.
We also do a chore program which provides in-home help to people. It supplements a state-funded community care program,
Okay.
which also provides in-home services, but people fall in a certain category there, and we do the assessment on those people.
Okay.
So that's a major part of what we do, but we do a number of other things too. We have a shared housing program, which is to match up 2 people who either need housing or have housing,
Okay.
as long as one of them is a senior.
Okay.
And it's a program that gives maybe a final alternative to people who can't be living with their relatives for one reason or another,
Okay.
or are having trouble making ends meet in an apartment with people who can use the assistance in their home,
Okay.
mainly financial assistance. It's not a caregiver program. But,
Okay.
and there's a safety factor involved too, in that people would have 2 people instead of one. We do a number of other programs also. One is a caregiver program that we have a caregiver specialist who does a number of community programs, does some group, and is setting up some group programs now,
Okay.
but deals with people who are assisting their relatives usually, or assisting people who need ongoing assistance.
Okay.
That's another one of our big programs. Another one that's a major program for us is we are the Elder Abuse Investigation Agency for the communities that we serve. And the communities that we serve are the villages within Palos, Lamont, Orland, and Worth townships. That's where the PLOWS comes from.
Wow, okay. Oh, I see.
Right. And we most of our programs service those areas. There's a few that will hit one area or another, but basically we serve the whole 4 township area, and there's about 20 communities in those 20 municipalities in those townships.
Okay.
So that's some of the things that we do, but we have a number of other ones too.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So is this funded by just benefactors or the state? How is it funded?
It's funded hopefully by a lot of different places.
Okay.
The majority of our funding comes through the state, which isn't a good place for funding to be coming these days.
Right.
Because they are, well, not only don't they have a budget now and are fighting about that, but they've been very slow to pay anybody who has a contract with the state in the past few years. So the stuff that's going on now is maybe a little different, but it isn't unusual because we've been dealing that for a long time. Some of our funding is federal funding.
Okay.
And some of the federal funding comes through the state.
Okay.
Which comes up with a match and then works its way through.
Okay.
We have what we call Title III, the Older Americans Act, which is a national act providing counseling, information, and referral and options counseling services. The CHOA program that I mentioned, respite, and so on.
Okay.
That is a federal program, but is matched by some state money also.
Okay.
So that's another source of funding. United Way, we're a United Way funded agency.
Okay.
And United Way is kind of changing its focus to children and areas that they consider need help. But we still have a couple of programs that can get funding from United Way, which includes this elder abuse. We now call it Adult Protective Services because it includes more than just elder abuse. It includes people with disabilities also.
Okay.
And that is kind of a major function of our agency.
Okay. To go back to the shared housing for just 1 second.
Sure.
So does that put an elderly individual with a younger individual so that they could look out for, so that the younger one could look out for them, or is it just simply based on financial needs and lack thereof?
Well, it has multi-purpose, and we started out with the idea we match a senior with a senior.
Oh, okay.
But that didn't work out. So we expanded to a senior to a non-senior. And I guess the first reason is economic.
Okay.
Because people are having problems paying rent or staying with relatives or something like that. And other people were in their own home or condo, or we even had a couple of matches in trailers.
Oh, okay.
And having trouble meeting their expenses there. But the idea that you have companionship and a couple of people that are kind of watching out for each other is also important to that program.
Okay, yes. I was just wondering how that worked out with the age differences. And so with special needs, you mentioned that PLOWS is taking care of that now.
Yeah.
What specifically are they doing for special needs, and who will get care? What kind of special needs?
Okay, as far as that's concerned, since this is a new program for us, we pretty much get the information and try and translate that into what might be available out there for people.
Okay, okay.
Unfortunately, there's not as much out there as there should be.
Right,
and so it's becoming pretty difficult too. But that's where we're at with that program now.
Okay.
And so that's, that's
it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. What major issues does PLOWS face usually as an organization?
Well, funding is a major issue.
Yeah.
We also get funding through contributions and special grants and that. But as I say, the majority of it comes either from the state or the federal government. And through United Way.
Okay.
But that's a major problem. A major problem that we face as counselors and caseworkers is housing.
Okay.
The difficulty in finding reasonable housing for people who, with moderate incomes or low incomes, is becoming more and more difficult. We're finding we're running into a lot of foreclosure issues with people who've owned their homes for a great number of years and are having trouble meeting the expenses that they face now.
Okay.
In fact, we're finding a lot more homeless people than we used to.
Okay.
And that's becoming, I think it's becoming a national problem, but it certainly is an issue that we face.
Okay.
So, and the other is kind of the demand for services. There's 70 to 75,000 seniors in our service area, which is a lot of people.
Right.
And, we're finding more, as we're around longer, people are finding it's easier.
Right.
And the demand for service of various kinds and the need for assistance in various kinds is growing. So that's kind of a major issue. We also help people access benefits.
Okay.
Another one of our programs, but one that's also difficult to meet because funding for that isn't really that good.
Yeah.
So that's those are
a separate.
I mean, we have a lot of problems day to day, but those are the big ones.
Right. For 40 years, though, it seems like you've overcome all of these obstacles, thankfully, and I'm sure the communities are glad to have you. Is there a need for volunteers at PLOWS?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
We use volunteers for a number of things.
Okay.
We use them to help us with our newsletter and clerical things like that.
Okay.
But we do have a home delivered meals program.
Oh, is that the Meals on Wheels?
The Meals on Wheels.
Okay.
And that uses a lot of volunteers because up until recently, we served, I believe it was 7 or 8 of our communities.
Okay, wow.
With the meals program. And what we did is we picked up programs that weren't covered by other programs.
Okay.
And since it's under Title III of the Older Americans Act, it's strictly a contribution program.
Oh, okay.
So people who have a hard time paying for meals will gravitate toward this program.
Gotcha.
But more recently, what has happened is that the agency, there is an intermediate agency that we get our funds through, particularly from the state, called an Area Agency on Aging. In our case, it's Age Options, which covers suburban Cook County.
Okay.
Cook Avenue was our first address. That's why.
Oh, okay. I see.
And in their infinite wisdom, they decided to change the way these programs are handled. And since they were kind of developed at different times by different organizations and so on, there was a great variety in where they were, what they would provide, and to whom they would provide it.
Okay.
And they decided they wanted to go by township boundaries.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, always right. Because we didn't go by township boundaries. I mean, we're located within 4 townships. And we have the boundaries of those townships, but we didn't specifically pinpoint Worth Township or Payless Township or something. We were open to everybody. And the towns we covered, the majority of them were in Worth Township.
Okay.
And we wound up with Payless Township and Orland Township. Now, we've had a presence in Payless for quite some time. We've done Bridgeview, we've done Hickory Hills.
Okay.
We've done the Payless part of Worth, Payless part of Payless Heights. So it's not new to us, but Orland is.
Yeah.
We have not served meals in Orland up till now. And so we're in the process of trying to develop more volunteers to deliver meals in the Payless Orland area. Our previous program, and we averaged probably 120 clients a day.
Wow, that's a substantial number. Oof, in a day.
In a day, yeah. And we had 6 routes. 6,
oh my goodness, yeah.
We had a caterer brings the food into our offices. We have a kitchen in there, and it's transferred to volunteers who have routes that they deliver to. And so we had to tell our drivers that some of the places they were covering, they're no longer covering.
Oh, okay.
Unless they went with the agency that's now covering it.
Oh, okay.
But one of our big towns was Evergreen Park. And there was a unique situation in Evergreen Park where originally Little Company Mary funded the village of Evergreen Park to provide drivers to us for our meals. And this worked quite well for a number of years. But Evergreen Park is in Worth Township. So we lose that route, and that was one of our big routes.
Oh, right.
And so we lose the drivers that were doing that too. So while we're trying to keep most of the volunteers we have, but the ideal situation is to have volunteers deliver once a week.
Oh, okay.
So you don't burn them out.
Right, yeah.
And that means for every route you need 5 drivers. And it looks like we're going to, and we're still putting the routes together, it looks like we're going to have 6 or 7 routes with this new configuration. And while many of our drivers, particularly in the north part of our area, in the Bridgeview, Hickory Hills part, are pretty much going to stay with the routes they had or the areas that they had, finding volunteers to serve the south part of Payless Township and all of Orland is our task now, in trying to find volunteer drivers to cover those areas. So we're looking for them.
Okay, so, yeah. So that speaks to the people in Orland for sure, to help volunteer.
Right. It's a great program for husband and wife.
Oh.
A lot of our drives are husband and wife combinations. One will drive, the other deliver, or the other.
Oh, yeah.
Because some of the meals, some of the loads are fairly heavy and so on, so you need fairly substantial strength and so on to be able to handle this. And it's a great husband and wife activity. So
gotcha.
We would encourage anybody to
volunteer. That brings me to my next question. What do you have to be or do or have to be a volunteer?
Well, first of all, we ask that you interview with whoever's running that volunteer program. In the case of meals drivers, it's Xenia Prosek, who's been our meals coordinator for years and years and years.
Okay.
And what she generally does, well, we do a credit check on them too.
Okay.
All volunteers, all staff, we do a police check on.
Gotcha.
So that, that's a requirement. If
you have to pass that.
Isn't going to work. But she generally talks to them, shows them the areas, usually has them go out with an existing driver to see what they do and how they handle things and so on, and then works out a route for them or a substitution basis for them or something like that.
Okay. And do they have to have their own car then? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
They have their own car. Up till now, we've paid them a stipend to cover their cost of $1 stop. But we're probably going to have to change that a little bit. We probably will leave that as an option. But when we go to the far reaches of Orland Township from our office right across the street here, and pick up people along 183rd Street and over by Wolf Road, we're probably going to have to go to a mileage thing or something like that. But that's going to be another change in there. But we're looking for people with cars and cars that can handle.
Are reliable.
Yeah, reliable.
Right, okay. Well, so we've talked about the shared housing, the home delivered meals, and the community care program. And is there anything else you'd like to cover?
Well, I might indicate that we have our own chore program, which covers the people that fall through the cracks of the community care program.
Okay.
And we've had this for many, many years.
Okay.
We can't do the intensive type of in-home service that they do, but maybe a couple of times a week we could have them go in and clean the house and do some personal care.
Okay.
And maybe fix a meal or something like that.
Okay.
And so that's kind of been a big service to us for a long time. So that's one program I would like to push. We also have a respite program.
Okay.
And that's where we have a worker go into the house to give the caregiver some relief.
Oh, okay.
It might be in the evening so they can go out to dinner, go to a movie, or it could be as much as a weekend, so they could take a short weekend break and so on. And we also have it provided that we can do some institutional care on weekends.
Okay.
That's very limited, but we do contract that out with home agencies or nursing homes. But
gotcha.
That's another program that that we consider a major program. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So you work full circle. You do the elderly and their caregivers and the special needs, and You're helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
It's turning out that way. Didn't start that way. It started out with the idea that we would be an advocacy agency. We would go out and tell people, you know, this is what's out there. This is what you need to do.
Right.
Until we found out a lot of the services we're telling people they needed to do, there wasn't anybody to do them.
Okay.
So that's how we developed, you know, some of our programs.
Yes, yes.
So it's kind of grown that way.
Are you pleased with the progress that PLOWS has made in the past 4 years?
Oh, yes.
Good.
Yes, I wouldn't have stayed this long if I wasn't.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how would one contact PLOWS if they had any questions or wanted to volunteer?
Yes. Our number is 708
Okay.
361
Okay.
0219.
All right. We'll have that up on the screen too.
Okay. And we would welcome any inquiries about volunteer programs. There's one other volunteer program I might mention that I think I said before that we try to help people access benefits.
Yes.
And there are certain benefits that, well, for instance, the LIHEAP program, which is the Energy Assistance Program for people under a certain income. That's help with the winter heating. And in the summer, up until this year, there was also a program in the summer to help with cooling costs.
Oh, okay.
There was not the federal funds weren't there this year for it.
Oh, okay.
But LIHEAP is a program that will be starting shortly. And while we use staff to help people qualify for that program, we also train some volunteers.
Okay.
So that they can help with the accessing benefits and so on.
Okay. Okay.
So we're a SHIP site too, which is a volunteer program to help people in Medicare Part D.
Okay.
And you know, there are other issues that we can help with.
Is there a specific age group? I mean, could teenagers or college students, if they need to fulfill a couple hours of volunteer service, can they go through you guys?
We do that.
Okay.
We've done several things with Trinity College and students there.
All right.
We have an internship program.
Okay.
We have what we call a COT Foundation internship program for second year, basically social work services, but it doesn't have to be social work. It's second year program for a master's program.
Okay.
And it's kind of a unique program in that we're about 10 years into it. It started with 4 agencies that got funds from the COT Foundation, which basically was a sale of a moving company. And the proceeds of that sale went to a family, and then the matriarch of the family passed away, and they had a foundation.
Okay.
And that foundation has done very well over the years. So there are a lot of different grants that you can get through that foundation now. But the first one, or one of the first ones, was this scholarship program.
Okay.
And it provides kind of a unique thing, especially for social work students, because there aren't a lot of paid intern programs. And there is a $10,000 stipend that goes with this.
That's substantial, yeah.
Yes. And we generally, on an average, have 3 COT scholars in any one year.
Okay.
And there's a couple of them have started up already now for this school year.
Okay.
It involves 700 hours of volunteer service with us, and we put them in with the regular staff, and have hired a number of them over the years.
Oh, okay.
So it's a good place to, if they can't find a position with the agency that they're serving, there are other agencies that have had COT students and might also at certain times pick them up. We also do non-scholarship interns, usually bachelor's interns. So we have 1 or 2 of those each year too. So and we've had high school students and so on do special projects. So, we're always looking for some kind of volunteer to do something, and students always have been welcome.
That's great. Okay, well, I mean, if you don't have anything else to add, I think that wraps up where we were trying to go today. And as always, thank you for watching Channel 4. Thank you for coming in again. It was lovely talking to you. And we'll be seeing you again. Bye-bye.